live side. There we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. Morning, afternoon. 6/3/2018. Details about the forking. Let's do a quick mic check.
Yeah.
Is there an echo?
I don't hear one.
Someone says there's an echo. Screen check. Mic. Everything's good? Okay, we'll address it later. Thanks for joining, everybody. I think that everybody's been wondering what's going on with the fork and behind the scenes in our fork to the algo switch. So we're going to go ahead and cover everything that we can, as much as everything that we can that we need to let you guys know what's going on and what we anticipate happening, and as well as having to coordinate with everything. So moving on to the first slide, I just want to go over a quick agenda summary. We're going to go over some critical details, which is going to cover really mainly what everybody really cares about, the critical details that involve the block height, and so those little things that people mainly care about, they need to be switched over. The technical details are going to be more about the actual algorithm and somewhat the memory requirements and so forth. Components, it's going to require a lot of different things as far as exchanges, pools, etc. Coordination, what it's going to involve the dev team and everybody else involved in the community to coordinate with the right people. And then we're going to follow up with just a little understanding of what monitoring is going to take, because it's just, we don't just cut over and then just forget about it. So it's going to require some dedication that's already been happening behind the scenes. So critical details right here, we have identified that the block height for the actual fork activation is going to be the 160,000th block, I believe. Is that right on the dot, renuzit, or is that 159.99? I heard you said something about that last time.
It should be right on the dot.
Okay,
it's when the process starts.
Okay, it's great. Thanks for letting me know. That sounds good. So there's going to be on the 160,000 block. That's when the algo chain is going to activate. So basically, the Zhash blocks will start to be, I guess, submitted and written to the blockchain. Then there will be a 10 block overlap. So my understanding is that, as it says there, there'll be both Equihash and Zhash mineable for those 10 blocks. Is that going to be, so basically from 160 to 160.10?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Next thing in order for the next critical details, BitcoinZ, the daemon will be released within 24 hours. So and we're going to have a Windows build soon after. Basically, why we're doing it this way, we want to get the daemon, I guess, that the exchanges use and the pools use. That's and our, as we're going to go a little bit further about it, but the DNS seeds also. So our main nodes need to be updated pretty quickly, and then we're going to focus on getting onboarding the Windows side of it, which should happen pretty quickly. The ZNOP for Zhash is ready. We've had Nicholas on the dev team. He's been working pretty critically on several things, not just the pool change, but the daemon itself as well, along with renuzit. So we have a ZNOP version available. It's got Zhash, and we have two. There's what we're calling it NickNOP, because he put some time into changing that, and then we have a version that Equipool's working on. And I think the major difference between those right now is I think Equipool's version, he's trying to make it more dynamic. Is that the right word? So that you can, people that want to have Equihash coins can also have Zhash coins. I think that's my understanding. Zhasher is already public. Do we have that on our BTCZ organization, or is it still linked to? Oh yeah, we do. Sorry about that.
It's github.com/BTCZ /Zhasher.
I'm gonna post that in the chat real quick here. Michael, thanks. Thanks for continuing to answer that. So moving on to the next, is there any other critical detail we need to cover there? Renuzit, I think we're good there.
I think you covered everything.
Okay. Next slide.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about the hash algorithm. Actually, as Nick named it, he calls it Z hash, whatever. So it's basically it's a modified version of Equihash. Mainly the N and K values have been changed, so 114/5. It basically it's a lot harder to process. It's kind of why we decided to make this switch. It requires a lot more resources than 209, which is the one that's currently in that we're currently using. And why this is important is because it's harder. The most expensive part of ASIC miners is the memory, and as we bump the memory requirements up, it basically increases the cost that it of the miners, and we're hoping that we can push them into a place where the price per hash is on par with what GPUs are doing, and we're pretty confident right now. We don't think that they have 2.5 gigabytes per core in their hashing ASIC. So we're pretty sure that they're not going to be able to process the Equihash with the updated parameters. We've also done some custom things in it as well with some customization that's going to be specific to Zhash. If other coins use Zhash, it'll be compatible. I think BTG is kind of going, or Bitcoin Gold is going to go in the same direction as us, but our miners won't be compatible because we've actually put a few additional customizations in there as well. There will be lower souls. It's actually, because it's a harder algorithm to process, it takes a lot more memory. You're gonna see a dramatic decrease in how many souls per second you get. Don't freak out when you see it. It's normal. But also the miners are not as optimized as they could be, which means that we're kind of starting from the early days of Equihash when the miners are out there. And the reason being is everybody optimized the miners for 209, and they work great for that algorithm. But when you change the parameters, we learned that it actually makes all the optimized code not work at all. And so if anybody's got optimized code, they're pretty much having to start from beginning and then redo the optimization so it works specifically for 1445 or Zhash. And so that's kind of like where we're at there.
Okay, we have one question here. Is there a more in-depth difference to normal Equihash compared to, I guess, Zhash?
It uses it's a different solution set. So it's like the memory requirements are a lot more. It's actually the direction. If you go back in history and look, it's the direction that the Zcash developers originally wanted to go, but they decided to use a very not memory efficient memory parameter when they started, which is kind of like why we're in this position, why we're here talking about this right now. It's not as aggressive as it could have been when they did their first launch at 209, and so 144 increases the memory.
Yeah, I do remember there being some talk early on with Zcash. I believe that they were going to the core team was contemplating going with 1445 versus 209. Then they settled on 209. I think is what happened. Moving on to the next slide here. So these the node wallets and node updates are required. Obviously, that's the core component to the way the way the algorithm is going to switch over. Of course, we know that that's what the nodes are write the blocks to the blockchain. It's the actual, I guess, the core to the blockchain, right? Is there anything you need to cover here extra other than what's on the bullet point there, Renuzit?
I can go over this as well. Yeah, so our main thing we're gonna do is release our BitcoinZ to our public GitHub, and from there we'll update our DNS seeds to run the latest version. Basically when the switchover happens, it'll turn off any of the older clients from being able to connect. And so you're going to have to upgrade. We're going to have to upgrade anything that uses the BitcoinZ daemon. Let's see. And so that basically happens during the cutover period. So during the cutover period, we'll actually switch out the seeds to start turning off the clients. It's not going to affect your coins. So your coins are going to be stored in the blockchain. Changing the algorithm does not affect that. It just you'll still have they'll still be safe and protected after we do the switch. And then also we don't expect this process to create any more coins. Since this is an algorithms fork, it's not like a fork for a new project. There's only going to be one project.
I think we have another question here somewhere up. Let me check. I guess. Oh yes. Have we verified Zhash has the desired effect? I think it was more about looking at the technical specs from the people that we have on board. They were working on that. Does that sound right?
Desired effect. I guess I'm assuming that's ASIC resistance.
Yes, I think that's what he's referring.
Yeah, it's highly. All this is sometimes this is. You guess when you don't know absolute details about stuff, but we're fairly confident that this isn't going to work for the ASICs for two reasons. One, it's going to increase the memory requirements, which would increase the cost, and we can't really, Bitmain's a company. They're probably going to release a miner that's only going to have the bare minimum. We don't know the exact details of what processors are using. If they did something completely custom and we're able to do something that's really, really flexible, then we're all doomed. We don't think that they're going to be able to do that yet. Maybe one day, but we feel that, I think we know that it's going to have 12 chips, which leads us to believe that this is something very specific to 209. The other reason is the optimized versions of these miners don't really they're not really compatible with the other versions. And so if they put any kind of optimization in it at all, it's very unlikely that it'll work using the new parameters.
Okay. Non-deterministic parameter changes every n blocks. I don't know what he means by that. I don't think that's anything's changing every number of blocks. I don't think anything's changing as far as parameters are concerned.
Now, once we go live with this, we're going to be running the 1445 or Zhash completely. We're not going to bounce back and forth between multiple algorithms. And to be honest, after some of the attacks recently that we've seen with, I guess Verge is an example, where they were able to do a 51% attack with less than 11% of the network. I don't think that having multiple algorithms is the direction we're ever going to go.
Mm-hmm. The process to update wallets, Don, that's going to be once we release it out there, it's just going to have a different exe file compiled into it or packaged with it, and you just run that one instead. So it's not anything major. You would just download the next release, and that'll settle that. The really quick going back, renuzit on the previous 209 verification valid, that just means that our previous blocks obviously remain valid on the blockchain, and then when the cutover happens, well, obviously those are verified on the new parameters, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, cool. Moving on to the next slide here, components. So the required update, and this is what we can tell the most critical up front. There's a possibility that things can change as we identify more and as we kind of phase into our algo fork. But obviously the most important is exchanges. That's where all the trading happens, obviously. So those nodes need to be updated pretty quickly, as soon as possible. So we reach out to them and get them to update to the new one that's going to include the new node that's going to include the trigger height or block height trigger. so that we can carry over to Zhash algorithm. Explorers, those are obviously handled by internally by the community and the dev team. So we have to update those behind the scenes and get those pushed out as well. That just involves also nodes, and probably there's a possibility, especially the one that I run on blockhub.info, would probably want to go ahead and take that chance to reindex it, because it needs some maintenance and stuff like that every once in a while. Pools, that's a major thing, obviously, also because those submit blocks to our blockchain, so we need to get those updated. I think it's pretty critical, and I think that's where it's going to come into using a more dynamic pool. I think it makes sense to be able to most echo hash pools use the Xenomp and stuff like that. So the Windows build, somebody asked that question about the Windows build. The Windows build is just going to include a compiled exe file, and you'll be able to just use the same GUI. And I do want to go back and mention, I think there was somebody that's been working on the GUI, the interface for that Swing wallet. So I think that we may see a change coming soon. I can't confirm that, but I know somebody's working behind the scenes on that. So the miner as well. The miner is out there right now. It's CUDA only for the moment, and I think as these times go by, we've been reaching out to other people that build miners and get on board and hopefully get something out that's obviously diverse for both AMD and for CUDA. And I think we're gonna have CPU mining up front, aren't we, Renuzit?
It's pretty likely that CPU mining could be a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, the new algorithm actually puts everything pretty much on an equal playing field for the most part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we tested that, and we were kind of seeing that different cards were getting pretty much the same hash rate. So that was interesting. The GUI miner, our branded miner from B-Rob, which is the AI O miner team, reached out I think weeks ago already, asking me as soon as he heard about the fork. So we'll get that updated and packaged in with the miner that we need to have in there, and we'll move on that. The BWS is the Bitcoin wallet service, I believe. So that's the copay, right, for the Android wallet?
Yeah, that's the community run server. So it's not the wallet itself, but it's the servers that it connects to.
Yep. So the infrastructure that, by the way, the Android wallet is run by us community, that is keeping those servers up and running. So that is just when you click, and something happens with that, it's an internal run, by the BitcoinZ community team. So that's going to be handled internally, those updates to deploy the Zhash algorithm node. Koinami, that's their infrastructure. We need to let them know. Obviously, I think that's pretty close to on par with exchanges. So they need to get those. We need to coordinate with them as well to update the node on the back end. Is there any questions in the screen here that I can see? Android wallet, Miner Hook, you asked about the Android wallet. That's just a wallet system on the back end. I don't think the front end or the actual app that you have on your phone or device has to be updated. Is that right, Renuzit?
Yeah, we're not expecting any changes with the Android wallet.
Okay.
So if you're using that to store your coins in, then you probably won't be affected by this at all.
So the next thing that we can tell now, there might be more, but as of now, obviously the mobile wallet app we just mentioned isn't required an update in paper wallet. Well, obviously that's not software, so it's just you having your private key. And I will mention that somebody pointed out, I think some weeks ago, that there was the validation on the private keys on the paper wallet site. We were having some issues, but we updated that. We pulled in a merge from the upstream, and I think that's working. So the keys should validate. L prefix and K prefix, I believe it is, keys are validating now, so we're good to go. But these aren't anything major that needs to be really changed. It's more back end stuff, infrastructure things. So you'll have your coins in your mobile wallet, and you have your coins in your paper wallet, obviously. Going back to some questions here to make sure we cover everything. what shall we do for us home miners? You don't have to do anything as far as mining. You can continue mining. This is going to be, when it happens. Obviously, you'll have to go on to a pool that is it has a Zhash implemented in it, and we have those releases, so it can be implemented. And don't get me wrong. I mean, the major pool operators that are out there, they they're really on top of what they're running, and as soon as they hear about something, they usually just incorporate it before anything is really released. Especially for something like this, it's just kind of a an algorithm change. I don't want to make it sound it's that simple, but for them that they run pools every day, they pretty much understand how it works. And as far as your keys and your coins in your Swing wallet, you don't need to worry about that. That's going to be, you just leave everything intact. It's not a big deal. They're all part of the blockchain. Your coins are part of the blockchain, and they'll remain on the blockchain. This is not a chain fork. It's not changing anything like that. So coins be safe stored in an exchange.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
it's typically you don't recommend storing coins in exchange. There's all sorts of reasons why you shouldn't. If the exchange upgrades their software, then you should probably be unaffected. If they don't change their software and they're still running the old version, then you could be affected. So just, that's kind of where we're at with that.
How to update the wallet, Dimitri? It's going to be just a new release as far as the Swing wallet's concerned. You just download the release and run that. You probably save your wallet.dat file, which you should probably have already backed up in so many different places, and then just run that new exe file or that new wallet, and it'll be fine. There's not really a step-by-step. It just basically literally just download it the same way you did the last one and run it. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next one. Coordination, exchanges, pools, and Konami. I think we touched on that briefly. Exchanges, we have to let them know, obviously, that we have a new branch or a GitHub repo with a new node that's gonna have the Blockheight trigger, the 160,000 block trigger. Pools and Konami. This coordination. That's why we have to allow for at least approximately a 2-week window for the algorithm switch on. That's why we're choosing a Blockheight. So that, by the way, we haven't mentioned. I think I haven't mentioned this yet. According to our calculations and the way the block time works, we more or less this algorithm trigger, this change is going to happen on between June 15th and 16th, as they say, on or about June 15th and 16th. So that's based on a date timeline. That's when it should trigger. So about 2 weeks from now or so, once everything gets updated, we should do that. Now, if somebody fails to update on it, what is it? What would happen in that case? I guess their coins, obviously, you're sending it. It's not going to be part of the old coins.
Yeah, it just depends on. There's so many things it depends on.
Yeah.
It's possible that it'll work. We don't think it's going to work because we're actually going to, turn off all the seeds and the. Yep. So it's unlikely that your wallet will have any connections. Although it's possible.
Yeah.
If you manage to get connections, and you could send it, and it won't show up in the exchange. It won't show up in any of that kind of stuff. So it's important that you're running the latest version so that so that your connections are good and you can send coins to everybody to be fine.
Yep. Okay. So I want to point out that this is also a situation where it seems like it's a real big deal. The biggest deal really is that you need to update when we obviously put everything out there that you need to update, and then you'll be fine. It's really just downloading new releases and making sure that on our side of things, it's a lot different. There's a lot more coordination, a lot more work involved. But for you guys, we'll put everything out there timely in a timely fashion that you can update, and you'll be fine. You don't need to move coins or do anything like that. So monitoring, obviously, the exchanges, and I think this is where community comes in, letting us know when they see something or an exchange complaining. We can't be all over the place. They sometimes reach out to us. They sometimes don't. We have our liaisons who communicate with the exchanges pretty frequently, but we don't. We can't be, like I said, we can't be watching everything all the time. But it's important that we monitor how things are going on the exchanges we are on, and get that. If they have any issues or any problems, get in touch with us, or join our Discord or send us an email, so on and so forth. Pools, the way the blocks are submitted, I know things have happened in other cases, not in our project, but sometimes things can happen with the way the pools are submitting blocks, and I think we have to monitor that. And I think we'll know pretty quickly. People are mining, they're not seeing this, not seeing the rewards come out, so on and so forth. Weird things happen like that. And wallet transfers, if you send coins, something weird happens, we have to know about it right away. And again, of course, community support, as I mentioned earlier. Community is obviously the best thing we have, aside from all the work that's happening with everyone doing what they're doing, and that the community is really our eyes out there. So we need to stay in touch with that and make sure that that everybody communicates effectively if they notice something during this cutover, during this change. Q&A. I'm moving on to Q&A now. I don't know if there's anything extra we have to say about this. Let's see. I'm scrolling up. When the wallet update will be released? The Swing wallet, probably within the next few days, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still have a few things we gotta fix up on the Linux daemon, and once we fix all that stuff and it passes through all of our testing, then we'll pretty much have a release soon after that. So
yep. BTCZ text SMS live. Yeah, I think there's different things that need to happen for that to go live. The code is out there basically, but
if you want the number, you can message me and I'll give it to you.
Let me scroll up really quick.
Any other coins? We've heard some that are talking about doing it. I think a lot of the coins are just, I guess they're not as proactive as we are. They're kind of seeing how things are going to play out and being more conservative. It's actually in our white paper to fork when there's an ASIC is known, and so this is why we exist. This is what we do, and so our number one goal here is to get the ASICs off of our network, and then continue research into finding more algorithms that are ASIC resistant. And if we find a better one, or discover that there's an ASIC on our network, then we'll go through this process again. And
Ashley Carter there. Yeah, I hope make sure that you get in contact with people that run btczdirectory.com, and you can get listed there as a merchant accepting payment in BTCZ. Anybody asking about price? We don't comment on price. There's nothing we can do about the way price is. Sorry. I mean, we just work. Yes, Don, the updates we'll put that out there we'll put that in a bunch of different places, not just btcz.rocks, but info.btcz.rocks. We're going to tweet it. We're going to Discord it. We're going to everything. Probably make a video and put it out there as well, with all the links and everything you need. Prog Pow.
We're definitely monitoring it. We're actually in touch with some of the devs for that algorithm, and I think like some projects like Ubique and some other coins are actually are trying to get it live, or to get a coin on it. I guess it's just my opinion, or it's a few of our opinions, that it's not necessarily ready for yet right now. And our number one goal, like as I stated, was to get the ASICs off the networks as soon as possible. And we're going to go with what we think is going to get to achieve that goal. But we're definitely looking at ProgPow and, working with their developers. And if it gets to the point where we think it's obtainable, or, makes sense for us, then we will definitely look into implementing it.
Masternodes, we've been there. It's been asked a lot. It's just not part of the way the project was launched. And to be honest, the Masternode thing is I've been monitoring Masternode projects, and they really just, for the most part, most of them right now have a bad image.
Mm-hmm. Community also voted on it and decided not to go that route.
Yep. Can you repeat about the wallets update? Dimitri, we're just going to put it out there. Depending on which one you're using, if you're using the Mac wallet, it sounds like you're probably using the Copay version of Mac.
Yeah. The Mac wallet should be unaffected.
Yeah, that shouldn't be affected.
I think there are some Mac wallets out there. They're not so there are some unofficial Mac wallets that are run by other projects for BTCZ.
Mm-hmm.
We have no control over those. So if that's what you're running, you might want to reach out to them and see when they're going to update. But for the projects that we do control, which is in this case the Mac wallet that we do have, that's the Copay wallet, and it'll be unaffected.
Can we keep sending the mine coins to our Swing wallets until? Yes, you can keep sending. You can continue doing what you're doing now, and then when we release the update, it's gonna have what it needs to have in it, so that you can be ready for the algorithm change.
You actually don't have to have a wallet to mine to a wallet address. So,
how does it differ from EchoHash, Zhash?
It's different from EchoHash, and we've modified some of so what traditionally is known as EchoHash. We've modified some of the parameters to increase the memory requirements, and we've added some additional customization. So it is something that's specific to BitcoinZ right now, and probably not going to be compatible with anything else out there, including nice hash.
Is there a way to ID miners or processor GPUs versus ASICs?
No.
And not that I know.
No.
How many devs working on BTC? Probably like 8, I believe. I just counted them. Doing different things, of course. Kind of working all together. Coordination. More questions? Windows Copay wallet okay?
Yeah, that's been affected.
Can we have some exposure campaigns to build community members? Yeah, the most recent bounty that I put out there, I mean, I think we have 2 bounties or more. I think we have 2. One of them is a products page, and one of them is a Shopify plugin, and nobody bites on those. And the only way I can think of is getting a promotion for community members is, having signature campaigns and so on and so forth. But I don't, I still don't see, people kind of taking the initiative to do something like that. So Hash power when ships miners flee. Is there any fear of? Maybe, I don't know. I mean,
I'm sure. Well, let's see, delusion of hash power. I mean, yeah. So the people who are mining stuff probably will switch, maybe, unless they really like the coin. I don't know if I'm scared of them coming over to us. If anything, I'm actually I think I'm welcoming anybody who comes to mines BitcoinZ. I think that increases the adoption. It gets more BTCZ in the hands of more people, and so I'm kind of for that.
mm-hmm. New exchanges. To be honest, I know it's being worked on, and I don't want to know because this is really every project. Everyone has the same question: when's the exchange? When I don't know. There's going to be new ones, of course. There's always new ones. Every project gets on a new exchange, within a time frame or whatever. But our focus is really development, and we obviously have a team of people that is reaching out to exchanges all the time and hunting those down, which they've been doing a great job. There's some unofficial branch based on Java.
I don't know if there is. I wouldn't recommend it. So I mean, I would use the only official one is the one that's in the /BTZZ, github.com/BTZZ. It's the only one I would recommend. As far as the daemon, the actual wallet.
The Swing wallet?
I think they're talking about like the daemon, actual the core application.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now it's just we have the C++ one. We have no plans to port it to Java either. So can we have community funds to hire a PR expert? You can propose anything. If the plan's good enough and the community gets behind it, then yeah, we could do that. But somebody's going to have to propose it first and handle and basically want to manage it. And so,
yes, and that's kind of key to all this, to all these proposals. You propose it, it's something you're going to do, and you have to rally community support and get implement it, execute it, and own it. Basically, is how it works. I think it's a good kind of following up on that point. It's good to mention that what we've been doing here since we've launched is trying to be as close to decentralization as we can, and that's an overused word. But I think you have to look past the word and trying to understand exactly what the concept of decentralization is. And that means to us, or to me personally, everything that happens happens from different people in parallel, as long as obviously you abide by the code of conduct that's in the white paper, so on and so forth. That's really what we focus on. Lots of different people doing lots of different things for a common goal. And there's no crown that somebody wears and does this and does that. There's no CEO. That's what we want. That's if you. I mean, it requires a lot of patience to see that kind of thing, and it also probably requires time for us to really see how we've gotten this far by being decentralized as we are. So that's just the route that we have to keep going. We're doing something different. We'll just say that. Decentralization simply means BTCZ. Another thing I want to mention that I've been noticing as I've I look at the crypto space, I say this and I think it's true. We're the probably I mean we're getting very close to being, or if not, we are the cleanest coin out there. I'd like to say why, because we didn't raise any we didn't do ICOs, we didn't do any pre-mines. We don't have any dev fees in in our block reward. We don't have anything like that. Even the grandfather of all this stuff, there was a pre-mine, right? Of course, that was different. That was an emergent. That was the technology that started it all. So it makes sense. But we don't have any of that. No master nodes, none of that stuff. It's basically, I mean, how much cleaner can you get? And that's what we're going for. That we're slowly but quickly differentiating ourselves in that way, which is hard to do. Any other questions?
They asked if there was a dev fee in the miner. So no, we don't have a dev fee in the miner. At least not the one that we currently have. So.
The Zhash miner download, I think we don't have any builds yet, but we're gonna.
Yeah, the source code is available. We actually do that. We do need to make some builds, but we'll make the builds when it comes closer. We just have a lot of other things right now. But you can download the source code and compile it if you know how. And that's on GitHub/BTCZ/Zhasher.
Okay. Thank you for smart contracts, tokens on the BTCZ blockchain.
Not gonna lie, we haven't talked. We have talked about it, but we have nothing official.
I think that is something that we saw come down the. I think our upstream, the Zcash core is they have that in their roadmap, and I don't know when they're going to implement that, but it's something that's when this was launched, the idea was to follow the Zcash core pretty closely. So we'll see how that goes. This is more, obviously, this is what we're doing right now. What we're talking about today is pretty critical first.
If somebody has a good enough plan for it, like I said, you can always write a proposal, and if you can get enough people behind it, then you can probably get it implemented.
A Battlefield, all echo hash miners will be for BitcoinZ. You need to use a Zhash miner, but as the mining coders, the way they work out there, they don't waste any time. And we're reaching out to several of them as well. Okay.
Anything else?
I think we're. I mean, there's a couple more questions, but kind of starting to be very vague in general. Current state of distribution of the hash. I don't know. I really don't know how accurate whatever those numbers are at the moment.
Oh, we're talking about the website. There's a website that shows.
Yeah.
That website's totally not right. If you go look at, if you actually go audit it, we think it's using cash values from like 5 months ago. So it's definitely not up to date. And even like some values are like current and some of them are 5 months old.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, price is not something we comment on at all. It's just can't help you there. Okay. I think that kind of sums everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make sure that we thank everybody again for all the hard work everyone's doing.
Yeah.
all the discussion that comes up from.
I definitely want to thank Nick. Nicholas has probably put the most work into making this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see him, thank him. He doesn't talk much, but still at him and thank him. I want to thank all the. There's actually a group of people, the ASIC Resistance Consortium. I think it was started by Zcash. Pretty much, they've been a tremendous help. We've been batting back and forth ideas with them. I think let's see. Who else? Equipool for setting up a test pool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Yep.
Oh, Tromp for helping us with the algorithm.
Yep. And all of the everyday work that goes behind, that's kind of unnoticed from a lot of the people, the people tweeting, the people just out there making proposals. I'm happy to see that people are starting. There's been an uptick in proposals and people submitting proposals, and I like that very much. I think that's what kind of gets us more, united as a community. So, thanks for that. Keep on doing that, getting out there and letting BitcoinZ be known even more than it is now. So thanks for everyone's hard work, and we'll keep everybody posted. We'll keep all the updates rolling out, and we'll phase into this and have a smooth transition. So we'll see you all soon. Thanks for joining. Have a good day, evening, night, whatever it is that you have. Let me... All right. Off air. Going off air.
Still says live.
Yeah. I turned it off, so it should be good.
Still says live.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, wait.